Thank you, Matt. Thank you all for joining us here today. In many ways, this off season actually feels kind of like three off seasons all rolled into one. It was obviously very loud and noisy in many ways, eventful in some ways. Obviously, we love the energy and excitement around the city, the vibe around this team. Anyone who's had the opportunity to be on campus the last month or so can feel the positive energy around the players, the coaches, our staff. I think everybody can sense that there's something special here potentially. I think when I look at it, it's a energy that's wholly unique in my basketball career, which is exciting, both for good and bad, I suppose. We've been given a very special opportunity here by Mrs. Benson and her group. It's an opportunity we're really grateful for. It's one that I think we're all absolutely committed to, but now we get to start to begin to deliver on that promise. And we need to do that one day after the next. It's not going to be a quick process. It's not going to be something where we go from point A to point Z without some sort of setbacks along the way. We don't know what shape our collective greatness is going to take. We don't ultimately know where we end up, but I'm extremely confident that we're all committed. We're committed to one another. We're committed to the vision. We're committed to this community in a way that's going to enable us to build towards that greatness in a sustainable way one day after the next. And that's all we can do now. I think Media Day starts and everybody wants to think that this is some sort of a event in and of itself. This is just day one of all of the work we have to do and getting our opportunity to deliver on what Mrs. Benson and her group have put us in position to do. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
David, with the turnover on the roster and the blend of youth and experience, this is kind of an unusual coaching challenge. Why is Alvin the right guy to guide this group through this experience?
Well, it's funny, actually. He's going to talk to you all next, and I think he'll have some thoughts on what he's seen the last month or so. Alvin and I had a conversation about a week ago where he said, I wish somebody would look a little worse than the other guys. I wish somebody would make it really clear the other ones that aren't going to play. That hasn't been our existence this summer. We've got guys that are hungry, that are really committed, and they love playing with each other. So I think what we're seeing right now is that we've got a challenge for the coaching staff in terms of our depth, how those pieces will all fit together. We do have a lot of youth, and we do have experience on the one hand. And I think what excites me the most is that we've got 19 years old on one end, we've got 36 on the other, but we sort of touch on every experience level in between. So nobody has to feel like they're on an island. So in that sense, I like the roster. Relative to the Alvin portion of this, we've talked a lot about Alvin in the past and why he's the right fit. There's too many reasons for me to say all of them, but the one thing I will tell you is when I got to watch Alvin Gentry take a team in 2010 to the conference finals in Phoenix, it was a team that played not unlike we want this team to play. Played fast, but they were gritty and had an edge to them. They were identified by the fact that they had that edge and that there was a natural competitiveness within the roster. And I think that competitiveness is a big part of what's going to drive us. It's why we so embrace the theme of won't bow down, because that came from within this group. It's the way we're built. And Alvin is the perfect coach for that type of team that can play with pace offensively and then want to bring it defensively.
How unique has it been to see basically every person on the roster here for the past few weeks and just seeing all those guys get working together?
Will you say that again?
How unique has it been to see basically everybody on the roster here for the past few weeks and see those guys work together?
Yeah, so this is, I believe, 26 NBA training camps I will have gotten to see the beginning of that September period. I've never seen every roster player be in market as early as this group was. We had guys come and go, certainly, but I mean, we had a nucleus of 16 to 17 guys that were here for quite a while working with one another and really enjoying playing together. I've never seen that before. And again, I think it puts you in a good position. But ultimately, it only puts you in a good position if that's bred the kind of trust level that enables you to continue to compete every day. And I hope we're going to work towards that.
Can you outline some of the progress Zion has made since you last saw him?
Well, I don't know who had the opportunity to see the Jordan brand unveiling over the weekend, but in a lot of ways, he's just become more comfortable in his own skin. I mean, this is a kid that was 18 years old when we drafted him. He's still 19, a very young 19. I think Zion's finding more comfort just within himself as a man, as a person. And that's really important to us. We don't have expectations that we're foisting on him as a player. This is really about finding himself, finding comfort with his teammates, finding his role. And we're blessed. All the Zion wants to do is win. You know, he doesn't have a vision of himself that corresponds to what people talk about relative to him. So whatever it is that's necessary for our coaching staff for him to do to win is what he wants to do. So what we've gotten to see over the last 6 months or so is just what his commitment is to that he's not at all me-oriented. He's entirely we-oriented. And so I think when you get to see that, you get to see somebody willing to put in the work he has, and then you get to see somebody up close like that who, I mean, he's a genetic freak. He's touched by the hand of God to play the game. When you get to see that happen and see it start to come together, it's fun. And I mean, we're just in the sort of early stages of this right now. I mean, we're in our infancy as a group, and so we're learning all the things you would learn with people for the first time. But I think what I'm most excited about with him and with all of our young kids really is they have a sense of we that's really unique. You've seen all of our rookies go out to Tulane, go to LSU, go to the Saints games. Our three rookies, Nikhil, Jackson, and Zion, are together a lot, and they enjoy being together. So I love the fact that they have each other sort of, I think Nikhil calls them the recruiting class. Is that right, Trajan? And I really enjoy that.
So that's Zion, the young man. What about Zion, the basketball player? He got the chance to play?
Oh yeah, he's played, and sure, he's played pickup with the guys and gone up and down, and he puts in a great deal of work. He wants to work in the weight room. He's ridiculously good in the weight room. He's not unlike LeBron in that he gains muscle really quickly, so you almost don't want him lifting weight. You really want him to be doing more core strength and those types of things, and that's what they've focused on. Jason Summerlin and Aaron Nelson have done a great job with him physically. I think Zion would tell you he's seen a lot of those benefits when they play up and down. So we've seen him as a basketball player do some shocking and stunning things. But right now, it's just about finding some consistency in what it is he can give us, and I really believe that comes from having consistency off the court first.
Griffin, when you look at how this organization was built throughout the summer, from the G League side to the executive offices to the additions to the coaching staff, what were the common ties that bound that together and the vision that you were trying to put together in assembling all of those talents?
Well, I think one of the things that was a real blessing, obviously, from the beginning, and we said it, Mrs. Benson gave us the bandwidth to go get the best and the brightest. So Trajan Langdon's here as our general manager. Swin Cash is here as a vice president with us in the organization. We were able to continue to attract great people. Coach Bizdelic being part of our defensive staff. Chris Finch wanting to stay on the staff on the offensive side. We were really blessed to be able to put together some of the best and the brightest. Aaron Nelson and everything he's done to his team. But what ended up happening with our facility and all of the transformation there really was the whole organization coming together at once, and that's a special thing to get to be part of, to get to see that. Again, we're in our infancy here, but those are some of the things that I've seen that make me feel really comfortable that we can build on this platform, because she is as absolutely committed to this as she can be, and our players are committed to one another.
Obviously coming off an off-season, but already looking forward to next off-season. Branding will be one of the bigger decisions I imagine you guys are dealing with. What do you feel like you need to see from him this year? What are his kind of benchmarks that you would like to see in order to know that he's a long-term piece of this franchise?
Scott, you said Brandon, correct? So we're excited Brandon enters the year healthy. He and Lonzo both are going to be healthy, and they've been full go now for quite a while. And off of the injuries they sustained, that was really sort of the first hurdle for us. Let them find comfort in playing every day. Let them be comfortable the next day. And so as we get through training camp, that's what we want to see. I think in terms of Brandon as a player, he's one of many pieces on this team that has a level of versatility in terms of their offensive component and their defensive component. We want to see what that looks like when it's fully engaged. And to the first question that was asked about Alvin, I'm really comfortable that Alvin will know how to utilize those pieces, but I think it'd just be really early to say anything about what we expect specifically out of Brandon. We just want to see him be free and easy and comfortable for a while and see what that looks like.
Griff, when you think about Zion and all of the celebrity and the iconic hype around him, what do you see as the most challenging aspect of his rookie season?
I think that hype is totally counter to who he is as a person. You know, he's a kid that natively would be really happy if he had 4 points and 8 rebounds and the team won. He doesn't care. The hype makes him out to be something that he's absolutely not. He's not a focal point entity the way he carries himself. He just wants to be a teammate. So I find it really fascinating that there is all this hype. And then you see him absolutely knock it out of the park with his jump man stuff that they did this weekend. He's great in that space, but it's completely counter to how he natively plays the game. He's so we-oriented that sometimes you don't even notice him out there until he does the ooh-ah thing. And I think that's what's going to be interesting, is to figure out how that plays itself into the way we play the game, and how we can help him facilitate winning, because that's all he really cares about. The hype and all of that sort of, to be honest with you, I think it makes him uncomfortable to a huge degree.
Where did the recommitment to establishing a connection with this community, really pushing the Pelicans brand name throughout the region, where did that come from? Because it had been a number of years since it kind of felt like the team had embraced New Orleans.
So I think it was first Mrs. Benson and her ownership group and what they were looking for when they hired me into the situation. I think we were very like-minded about the fact that our team and our leadership is all just part of caretaking for a sacred trust. And the sacred trust is the team, and that our fans need to believe we're going to do the right things with the team. You know, we don't own this team. The fans own this team, really, at the end of the day. And we need to build something that speaks to who they want to be. And I think Mrs. Benson inherently understood that. She was about that. And that's why when I sat in the room with her, I recognized this was the opportunity that I'd been dreaming of, quite frankly, because she is that committed to this community. It's not an ancillary piece of making money. It's really the only thing she wants to do. So that was, I think, the most important thing for us to identify.
J.J. Redick, he's had success everywhere he's been. He's got a reputation of being a sharpshooter and all, but, do you look at him more as a DH in baseball? I mean, what is he going to bring because of his experience, and is he going to be like a coach out there? I mean, not really a coach, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's interesting. He every year for a couple years now, he's setting highs in 3-point attempts, makes. He's scoring more. As he's getting older, he's getting better because he's figuring out more of where he's going to get his shots from. I think when I look at him, to use your DH baseball euphemism, the DH in him is going to be the part of him that's a vocal leader in a way that maybe he hasn't had to be before. I think we're really putting a lot on him in that space, and I think, frankly, I think that's a big part of what attracted him to this opportunity. Was our style of play lends itself very well to the way he plays the game, but our roster lends itself to the leadership component he brings, and that's going to be his specialist aspect, I think. The sharpshooter part of it within the flow of our offense, we have so many play creators that him being among the league's best play terminators is a perfect fit. But his specialist part is going to be the leadership component, I think.